такой Бэтмен, а вокруг все такие ваши помощники. Дайте угадаю. Техническую работу, если вы занимаетесь производством, то вы сами производили, доводили продукт ваш до идеального состояния и с гордостью отдавали клиентам. А если предоставляете услугу, то, скорее всего, сами ее и предоставляли клиентам от начала и до конца. И так работало до поры до времени. Но постепенно бизнес рос, и вы уже не могли позволить себе роскошь лично предоставлять услуги или заниматься производством. На вас навалились другие задачи. Найм сотрудников, построение отдела продаж, лидогенерации, маркетинг, финансы. Бухгалтерия, налоги, управление, контроль за сотрудниками. И это получается уже не так гладко, как вам хотелось бы. Бизнес застрял в болоте и не растет. Хаос и бардак наслаиваются друг на друга. И иногда вам кажется, что легче тупо начать новый бизнес, потому что тогда не будет всех этих слов, будет больше драйва, больше кайфа. И если вы решили так сделать, то поздравляю. Вы очередной серийный мелкий предприниматель. А все почему? Да потому что вы не учились профессионально управлять бизнесом. И вы не знали, что у владельца есть свои определенные функции. При этом есть то, что вам нужно срочно делегировать. Есть то, что должны делать только вы и никто кроме вас. Вы знаете, вы можете быть офигенным техническим специалистом и точно знать, как производить продукт высочайшего качества. Но поймите, бизнес держится не только на этом. Меня зовут Александр Высоцкий. Вот уже больше 10 лет моя компания помогает предпринимателям правильно строить бизнес, не тонуть в оперативке и получать больше кайфа от этого. Более 4500 предпринимателей в Нью-Йорке, на Тайване в консалтинговые программы и тренинги и смогли кратно развивая себя еще больше, работая в режиме 24/7. Все, что вам нужно сделать, это зарегистрироваться на мастер-класс и выделить эти чертовы 2 часа, чтобы научиться правильно управлять, вести из этой песочности и делать бизнес по-крупному. А если вы считаете, что не можете выделить 2 часа на то, что точно изменит ваш бизнес и вашу жизнь в лучшую сторону, и не можете выделить из-за вашей дикой, то тогда этот мастер-класс 100% для вас. Регистрируйтесь и приходите на мастер-класс.
Introducing Speechalo, the most natural sounding text to speak in. Hey, and I'm one of the 30 AI voices Speechalo. You listened to this video until now and you probably couldn't tell I'm not a real human voice. That's because I understand what inflections in my voice, just like a real human would do. I was coded in that will analyze the phrases, and I'll understand when I'm enumerating something, when I have to emphasize a word, or I need to take a deep breath. But you don't have to worry about any of these things. With Speechalo you can generate as many voiceovers as you heard me right. Only 3 clicks. Click number 1. Just paste the text you want to be transformed into speech, in our online text editor. Click number 2. Choose the language and voice that you want to use. We offer male, female and even kids voices. And finally click number 3. Click on generate and in 5 seconds your voiceover is ready to be downloaded. How cool is that? And you didn't have to pay a single cent. And didn't have to wait a week to receive your voiceover. We offer voices that are perfect for training videos, voices that are perfect for presentation videos, and voices that sound like Hollywood movie trailers, and even kid voices that sound joyful and innocent. All our voices have elements that make a voice sound real, and include all the voice expressions needed to make people more engaged in your content and make it sound professional. Actually 98% of the people hearing a voiceover generated with Speechalo can't tell it's not a real human voice. This video is created with a voice from Speechalo and you are still here, watching and listening to what I have to say. That proves my point. So here is the deal. For a limited time, you're getting the deal of a lifetime. Normally we will sell Speechalo as a monthly recurring service. But today, because you are in the first 1,000 people to join, you get the special founders offer. You can get Speechalo for a ridiculously low one-time fee and no monthly recurrings. The price you see on this page is the lowest it'll ever be. In fact, the price increases with each minute that passes. If you want to lock in the price, don't refresh the page, don't bookmark it for later, just go ahead and click the Buy Now button below, right now. Once the launch ends, the price shoots way up. But, honestly, even at $500 that's an incredible deal for the power you're being granted. You will make that amount back in no time. Outsourcing the creation of a single voiceover will cost you more than the price of this offering. And you will have to wait after the freelancers, not to mention that you could just don't like the end result. And you will waste hundreds of dollars in vain. I'm 100% confident that you will love Speechelo. In fact, I'm so confident that I'm going to make this a complete risk-free decision for you. If you create a voiceover using Speechelo and you don't like it, I will refund all your money and let you keep the voiceover that you created. So, now that you have no risk, you also have no excuses. Go ahead and click the Buy Now button below and profit from the one-time payment offer, and the huge discount that we have for the first 1,000 users. Let's quickly recap why you should get Speechelo today. You'll be able to transform any text into speech. You'll get over 30 human-sounding voices. You'll be able to create voiceovers in over 23 languages, and you'll be able to create as many voiceovers as you want. Well, what are you waiting for? Click the Buy Now button below and profit from our special offer right now. And remember, you are covered by our 60-day money-back guarantee.
Coming up, the $100 crowd just got bigger. We hear from the CEO of the world's largest independent oil trader about just how long it could stay in triple-digit land. This is Bloomberg.
Access the financial world on demand. Hear from leading economists, policymakers, and industry experts via live and on-demand webinars, only from Bloomberg. Start exploring to see what's moving the markets. Visit Bloomberg.com/webinars.
How difficult was it to go to investors and say, invest, give money, put money into a travel tech company within this environment?
It wasn't that difficult because TravelPerk is doing much, much better than the rest of the industry. In fact, we are at the moment growing at 4 times revenue of pre-COVID numbers.
I think what we've seen during this period of time is that communicating via video is not a fad. We are using it in all aspects of our lives, for work, for learning, for communicating, for staying in touch.
Welcome back to Bloomberg Markets Europe. We're just under 40 minutes to go until the open of cash trades. You have a real momentum here in the European equity trading session because it is ground zero really for recession risk, for oil and energy prices, exposure to Russia, Ukraine. Biden, Putin may well have a summit. Details TBC. The foreign ministers will agree that on Thursday. If you're just tuning in, that is what re-rated risk completely this morning from being down in the negative territory. London up 0.6%. Of course, it's big oil on the FTSE 100, and there are global ramifications. Let's talk a little bit more about oil. Crude prices, they've surged this year. You've seen that, and we're within kissing distance of $100 oil. The boss of the world's largest independent oil trader, well, he thinks that not only are we going to get there, but we're going to stay there for a prolonged period of time. It's the CEO of Vitol. He caught up with Anna Edwards.
In our view, yes, we'll see, perhaps a prolonged period of 100 plus at some point in the next 6 to 9 months. It's very difficult to be precise about the exact timing, but demand is going to surge the second half of the year, provided there's no additional worries about the pandemic and provided travel resumes to something like normal.
Do we know what kind of prices destroy demand? We've seen prices higher than this, haven't we?
Yeah.
In not all that long ago.
I think you're right. 11, 12, 13, around about that time, we were 100, 110 range. So we have seen these prices before, but I think when that occurred in 11, 12, 13, we didn't have the coincidental sort of gas price and coal price explosion that we have today as well. So I think consumers are getting it from all angles, which is certainly not a good thing. And demand will at the margin be lost because the price elasticity is there. Clearly, as it gets expensive at the pump, people are going to do a little bit less driving.
We've mentioned a lot about how supply is tight. One thing that could change that, though, at least to some degree, is Iran, and whether conversations with Iran result in Iranian fuels coming back to markets, essentially. What is your expectation there? There does seem to be some expectation that's going to happen. It's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I think all the parties have been talking this week, in fact, and it sounds like there's an agreement beginning to form. There's clearly, it's been a long path to get here. So I think the market's assuming something will get done in the next few weeks, and probably the market needs that oil, right? And the second half of the year would benefit from that additional supply. Just from a consumer's point of view, that the market will be a little bit more easier to balance. And I think most people have got that factored in for the second half of the year. Most people would expect an additional return from Iran. Clearly, they're producing oil and they're consuming oil themselves today. The extra supply that they could send out to the world would probably be about 1 million barrels. Do you have any sense of how much sort of geopolitical premium there is in the oil price? From what we've discussed, supply and demand dynamics would suggest that oil prices stay elevated even without that geopolitical risk premium. What would you assume would come out if we see these tensions ebb away? I don't think the geopolitics specifically account for a huge, talking about the Russia-Ukraine conflict, I don't think that accounts for a huge amount of the price premium at the moment.
Vitol CEO Russell Hardy there speaking to Anna Edwards about demand destruction and the risk of oil prices. A little bit more breaking news coming through across the Bloomberg terminal. This on Tencent, the stock dropping 6.3%. More fears, additional crackdowns. This is the second day of pressure on Tencent, down 6% as you can see there. Technology shares all under pressure. You got the country's banking watchdog warning, and it issued a warning on Friday against illegal fundraising schemes and vowed on Monday to resist speculative trades in capital markets. Alibaba also down 4.3%. This is more tech regulation and crackdown in China. If you thought it was over in 2021, this is Bloomberg.
soaring energy prices and a short supply of key chemicals that produce synthetic fertilisers are sending pig, cow and horse manure prices soaring. Even human waste is in demand as farmers hunt for alternatives. Fertiliser helps increase crop yields.
You can see how much moisture is held into this. It's a lot of organic material into the compost, so it breaks down, the manure and the straw breaks down into a friable mix that can be mixed into your soil in the ground and for growing a whole range of different vegetables. Holds the nutrients in, holds the water in, and it really increases the kind of biodynamic profile of the soil.
The recent price spike could mean more farmers going organic for the long term.
However you get your news.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak with Lee.
On Bloomberg Radio.
Welcome to Daybreak Australia.
This is Bloomberg Technology.
This is Bloomberg Green.
On TV, radio, and the web, this is Bloomberg.
It's Bloomberg Markets Europe. We're 30 minutes away from the start of cash trading today. Futures are higher across the board. London, Paris and Frankfurt, led higher by Germany. Of course, the risk of a Biden-Putin summit led by France President Macron is what's giving us a renewed hope to risk this morning. So you have diplomacy in the ascendant as opposed to escalation of invasion risk in the ascendant. The question I have in my mind is this where you're going to see traders really sort of sell into any kind of momentum and strength? Because you have a more aggressive ECB, you have a risk of a summit with no guaranteed outcomes, and you have calls from JP Morgan for 9 rate hikes. As my last guest just said, you have a much more negative ECB perspective in terms of rates. So equity futures are up. Do you sell the rip? Bit cliche, but it works. Let's have a chat now about one of the companies which has reported their earnings. It's Galp. They've reported an adjusted net income just below the estimates for the fourth quarter. The Portuguese energy company says it plans 150 million share buyback. Andy Brown is the CEO who joins me now. Andy, good to have you with me. 150 million of a share buyback, a cash dividend. Is this the start of a much more progressive share buyback program? Andy, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yes, it is. So we have a new distribution policy. We're escalating the base for 50 cents at 4% a year, and we have a supplementary dividend that we're going to deliver in buybacks. And the first buyback is 150 million for 2021. I think it